Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. Today we're going to talk about nutritional habits. And I'm going to read a little bit of excerpt from my book. And this I think is really important because I think a lot of times we all forget how important nutrition is. Welcome to the Cheer Athlete podcast, where we bring coaches, parents, and athletes expert tips and advice to help keep cheerleaders healthy, strong, and at the top of their game. Now let's go. And paying attention to what we're eating. I talked about in the big 2 weeks ago about one of my cheerleaders had developed anorexia, and I was not really in tune to what was happening until it was too late. I didn't have weigh-ins when I was in college. We did have weigh-ins. Um, I don't like weigh-ins at all because muscle is going to weigh more than fat. So someone can be super strong and be able to hold himself up in the air, but be over that scale weight. And that doesn't say how they're going to be as a flyer. Same goes for basing, like I think it's important to like maintain healthy weight without necessarily looking at the scale. This means making sure that we have enough energy, making sure that we can that we're hydrating, making sure that we are moving well, and that there are certain foods that if we don't feel particularly good with, they might create some aches and pains. So I think nutrition is a key component to preventing injuries. Um, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I uh, defer to my colleagues who are for more information. In the book, I talk about Precision Nutrition, which is a company based out of Canada. They have done a lot of research on, um, the different macrobiotics, macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. They also do a lot of education for people like me who are strength coaches, and they are very well versed and they provide a ton of information. So there's a link in the book to help to connect you to them, and there's you can just go on there and learn with all kinds of free resources. So I highly encourage you to check them out. I also have a lot of colleagues who work with athletes. And so if you are looking for a dietitian and nutrition advice, reach out. I can connect you. I'm happy to do that. And they're wonderful people and they really know their stuff. So um, definitely think about that. If there's something, this is something to catch sooner than later. And um, there are so many eating disorders in cheerleading that it's a big problem. That being said, we also, just as a society, I don't think that we eat all that great. Most of it, hopefully your majority, you need to eat your fruits and vegetables. You need to have some protein. You need to have healthy greens. And then we look at snacks, right? I'm guilty myself. I when I told you last week my dad was in the hospital, I grabbed some Fritos because they were there. And if you're traveling a lot for competitions, you're going to grab stuff that's there. And it's not always the best options. And that's just the way it is. So, and it's okay. Like it's okay to have that junk food once in a while. It's just not okay to eat that all the time. And we have to just curb that. And I think what's important as a coach or parent is to teach the athletes that, like, all right, you can't eat this all the time. You can't live on a diet of mac and cheese. As amazing as mac and cheese is, you need to throw in some vegetables in there. You need to have a well-rounded because food is fuel, and what we put in, if we're going to put in gunky old gasoline in our car and drive around on oil that hasn't been changed, everything gets slow and sluggish, and it's the same fuel for our body. So I'm going to read this little bit of chapter from the upcoming book, Strength and Conditioning for the Cheer Athlete, a guide to improve performance and reduce injuries in cheerleading. And it's set to be released on May 27th, just as soon as your tryouts are over and you're ready to jump into summer training and conditioning. So if you're interested, you want to know when this drops and want me to send you an email, just check the show notes. I have a link to get on that email list. So happy to do that, or send me a message and I'm happy to do that as well. It's going to be released on Amazon. Easy to find. All right. Fueling for performance. Nutritional habits may be one of the biggest factors in keeping your cells healthy, and it's an area that's frequently overlooked. It goes hand in hand with exercise to maintain a healthy body composition. My mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was a year old. She struggled every day until I was about 9 years old, when her best friend convinced her to try an alternative treatment method that involved changing her diet. Easy. She did some crazy fasting, and suddenly she was able to be more present with us with less flare ups. That change completely changed how my family ate. Instead of ring dings and sugar smacks, we started eating brown rice casserole. We opened the first health food store in our area in 1980 and called it Tidbits. If you follow me on social media, especially on Facebook, you'll know that you'll know that is the inspiration for my weekly Thirsty Thursday tidbits, or any of my tidbits of knowledge that I drop. I remember a time when we went to a local festival and sold avocado sandwiches. It was challenging because we definitely didn't fit in. But looking back, I think my mom had a future thinking vision that gave us all a gift of health that lasted a lifetime. I was certainly on not a full-on follower of my mom's health food kick. I wanted to fit in. In high school, my lunches consisted of tater tots with mustard and strawberry ice cream bars. I still love those to today. Man, I still crave them. In college, I was in heaven when my dorm cafeteria had a soft serve ice cream bar that allowed me to have it covered in granola, let alone the late like cheesesteaks, pints of ice cream, and pizza. Well, I never had a platform, never had really had a problem with weight. I did always struggle with feeling like I was fat and overweight. My mom used to apologize to me for getting her thighs after she just complained about having big legs. I wanted to be a top level flyer, and I thought if I could just lose 5 pounds, maybe my coach would put me on top. Little did I know that I was probably middle range weight wise on the team. And if I had better strength and body control, and had I looked less scared, I might have been able to be at the top. I first started making myself throw up when I was in my third year of college. I can't remember why I did it. I just know that I had eaten way more than I wanted and I needed to get rid of it. I started taking NoDoz on one of our away trips so that I'd have more energy and burn more calories during our pregame practice. I was incredibly lucky that I didn't make this a habit. Deep inside me, I knew this was not the way to control my weight nor my energy. After I stopped cheering, I quickly put on 10 pounds. I wasn't on the go as much, and I was still eating the same amount that I would eat when I was practicing all the time. I maintained that weight, 128 pounds, until my late 30s. I did actually drop to 114, which was my high school weight, the week I got married. But again, that was because I was stressed out and I didn't eat at all. The last time I forcibly made myself vomit, I was on a ski trip and I had eaten a lot of pasta. I knew it was time to quit and get a grip when I told my friend that I made myself throw up, and the response was, "Good, you could have because that was a gross amount of food you ate." This was after I had been coaching and one of my girls was anorexic. When I got pregnant, I put on nearly 20 pounds in 3 months. I didn't feel right. I wasn't overeating, but I had a lot of fluid retention. This is probably why I miscarried. I'll never know. After I lost the baby, I was able to get myself back to 135 and I felt amazing. I was in a smaller dress size, I had energy, and I saw muscles that I always dreamed of. I was able to maintain this for a year before I bumped back up to pregnancy weight. Now that I've hit menopause, it's harder to maintain. Why do I share all this personal angst with weight? Because I know that cheerleaders struggle with body image issues. I'm right there with you. I cringe now when I see this on TV. I look back and I wonder why I was so concerned with what people thought of me. Why did I tie my self-worth to what I weighed? Why did I think that I could control my weight with drugs and vomiting? My wish and my own goal now for all young men and women who struggle with eating disorders and poor self-body image is that they recognize their worth from inside and not by measure on the scale. That they see how good it feels to be strong and to have energy, to live a vibrant life, to embrace the goodness of good quality food eaten at just the right amount. Yes, it feels amazing to look at ourselves naked in the mirror and think, damn, I look good. It also feels amazing to realize that your body is capable of so much more when we take care of it from the inside versus how it looks on the outside. My mom is a visionary. She went from feeling fatigued all the time and sometimes unable to get out of bed to chasing after three young kids trying to keep them in line. I've learned to forgive her for her fat shaming words in my youth. It's what she knew. I've also learned that I need to be happy and comfortable in my own body and to express that so that others can see how important it is to love ourselves for who we are, not what we look like. Every day we learn and we grow. That's the beauty of being human. It's nutrition is a struggle for all of us. Um, again, I grew up after the age of 9, we had those brown rice casseroles, which are really good. It's brown rice sauce and cheese. It's not actually all that healthy, but it was better than fried chicken or eating every meal at McDonald's, which we did through college. It's inexpensive. It's understandable. We do need to learn what appropriate amount is to limit so that we're not overeating, that we stop when we're satisfied, and that we eat quality food at least 85 to 90% of the time. And quality food is things that make you feel good. Load up on vegetables, make your plate full of colorful vegetables, broccoli and carrots and yellow squash are all some things. And, yeah, kids, they're burning calories and they're moving around, and generally their cholesterol is okay. So they probably can have cheese on them. If your kid won't eat broccoli, then put some cheese on it, you know, and sprinkle it with some, Parmesan or something that gives it a taste and flavor. If your kid is not eating enough, find out what's going on. If your kid is making themselves throw up, find out what's going on. I went to counseling for a long time post college for things I had to deal with. For my mom, who's amazing for fat shaming me, I had to come to grips with losing the baby. I had to deal with, my own just inner angst of not belonging, because whoever feels like they belong when they're in middle school and high school. We moved when I was 10 years old. It threw me all for a loop. And I just had to come to grips with that. And I know that it's okay that I fit in, that food was not my savior and food was not my enemy. I had to learn how to eat enough. And when I quit college, or not, when I quit cheering because I was graduating, my activity level stopped. We are on the go all the time when we're cheering, and then we flat out stop. How can we create that same activity level and fuel our body appropriately? I couldn't eat the same what I was eating when I was cheering because I wasn't moving as much. And that's just life. You're not, it's rare that you're at 3 hours of practice every single day when you have to work full time. Um, so, you have to find ways to make things happen through your day. And I think if this chapter in the book, if it can be a good takeaway for like, just maybe some tips for things to look at, you know, keep a log. Or I don't want little kids stressing out about, am I eating too much, or am I not eating it, am I eating too much is the big thing, right? Or am I not eating enough? Like, let them eat till they're hungry, and encourage them to eat mostly healthy foods with occasional pizza and Doritos thrown in there. Cut out their soda. That stuff is crap. Didn't realize that. I don't know that I talked about this or not, but one of my staples my senior year of college was a Reese's peanut butter cup, the 2 cups, with a Diet Coke for breakfast. That was my breakfast. And then I would stop for my afternoon classes and research, which was lordly grossly boring. Um, I would get a stop at Taco Bell and have 2 chimichangas and a Diet Coke. I don't drink, I won't say I never drink Diet Coke anymore. I do. On occasion, I like a McDonald's Diet Coke with a full thing of ice. It's refreshing. But it's so bad. And for the most part, I don't drink soda anymore. And if I had cut that out when I was younger, yeah, I'm healthy and I can't complain. Uh, but I don't know what it did to my body. And I think whatever. I'm not telling you what to eat. I'm just saying make better choices, offer better things. Water's boring, find a way to spruce it up. Make sure they're getting enough through the day. It's okay to have that occasional soda. Just don't drink it all the time. And the same with the energy drinks. Those things, I think, personally, I'm not a fan of energy drinks. And sorry if that's a big thing for people, but They don't do good things. It's like taking no-dos, and it's just not good. So there's a lot. I can preach about it. Ultimately, listen to what your body is telling you. Listen so that you're eating enough and you feel satisfied. Try to get that quality vegetables and good protein in. Eat your carbohydrates because that is what provides energy for us. And some of that is beans and rice and some pasta. Just don't go to town on eating a pound of pasta in a sitting and a pizza all in the same, after a night out. We all do it. It's what it is. At least we did in college. Anyways, I hope that was helpful. I'm happy to talk. If anyone has any experiences, or you think your kid might be struggling, I might not have the answers, but if you need an ear, I'm here to listen. So please reach out. And if you do want to talk to somebody, and if you reach out to me and they're struggling, I am going to refer you to somebody. But if you just need an ear, I'm here too. Because it's hard. It was really hard watching my cheerleader go through anorexia. It was amazing that she was able to make it back because she almost didn't make it. And we got to be on top of this stuff. We got to keep our kids healthy, and we got to keep ourselves healthy so that we can keep them healthy. Thanks for joining me this week. Again, the book comes out on May 27th. You can find all links for everything in the show notes. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And please, if this episode or any episodes resonate with you, please share it with your friends. Make sure you hit subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And I very much appreciate you being here. This is episode 104. Amazing. I hope you have a great week. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe it out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to, and you're responsible for your own vibes. Let's go get the day.